Okay, so today I thought I would go in here and today talk about red flags and good and bad people. And it's just overly interesting because we're constantly looking at red flags about people and assuming things about them based on these like little minor details that they do. So like not saying thank you to the waiter or not opening the door for you. And then you assume things about them, which it's human nature for us to assume. We cannot just not assume because we assume based on looks. But let me just give you a little example to start off. So you could say that normally you would present yourself as well dressed to people, and then because you're more well dressed, people tend to assume that you have respect for yourself, and then they would have respect for you. So it's like an ongoing chain. So one day you could go to the supermarket and you would not be looking at your full potential, and you realize that people are treating you differently. But the first impressions that our looks give us, if we're in a supermarket that are not like in just pajamas or something, that someone might just be like, okay, they probably don't take care of themselves. But it's not that deep because people don't really care. But just saying that these little first interactions, they might give you an indicator, but on the larger grand scale of things, it doesn't tell you anything about anyone. It just tells you an indication of whether you want to continue contact with them or you don't, or you want to continue something else. So it's these little righteous or good and bad things that we tend to have about someone. It's based on our own experiences. It's based on what our own values and our own beliefs of what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And then these beliefs that we have for ourselves affect other people, obviously. But all these red flags, all these green flags about someone who are like, avoid someone who does this at all costs. They're only indicators, and people sometimes might have a bad day. People might sometimes be too much in their own heads. Something might have happened to them where they just forget to be nice to someone, or they forget to have basic manners. And yes, it doesn't justify it, but it explains it. And then it gets me into the point where a lot of things are really, there's deeper things into it and than surface level. But at the same time, as people, we have our own lives. We shouldn't be overthinking about what other people are doing. Yeah, you might not want to associate with people who do this on a daily basis, and it might explain their behaviors, like I said, but it might not justify it. And if you don't want to be with someone who doesn't have basic manners, or doesn't open the door, or doesn't talk nice to waiters, but doesn't offer to pay for the bill, then that's your own decision. But I'm here to learn and also to see different perspectives on things. So the first thing you have to realize is that when you meet someone, most of the time, actually all the time, you're not gonna get their true personalities. You're not gonna get their true impressions of themselves, because people have a facade. Same for you. All these points that I'm making are also translated onto you, because you are just a stranger to someone else. No one knows you more than you know yourself. So focus on improving yourself instead of all these things of how should I be perceived in front of other people? How do other people perceive me? It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, when you start having self-respect, people will take notice of it, and the right people will take notice of it, because you want to be associated with people that help you improve and help you grow, instead of people who try to bring you down. Because most of the time, the people who are most insecure are the ones who are constantly focused on their image instead of how they actually feel about themselves. So first thing first is that people change over time. People change at different rates, which is the obvious, but a lot of the times we constantly think of, oh, if they're gonna act like this now, they might not act, they're gonna continue to acting like this for the rest of their lives, which is not necessarily true. So they might have never gone for these experiences that you have, that made them have these little behaviors that you don't want. So true colors in a relationship, sorry, that I don't know why I started there, but true colors in a relationship will show over time. Same thing for you. Your true colors are going to show in a relationship over time. So instead of thinking about what is this person doing wrong and why would I not want to be with them, focus on yourself. What are your true colors? Who are you truly? And this is a really hard question that I still cannot answer for myself, but what I'm saying is that focus on your own self-growth and know when to let people go. This is really important that a lot of people cannot do. It's that if you do find that you're growing at different rates, there's nothing bad about speaking to the person about this, communicating with the person about this, and seeing how they feel about this, and which is, just because you grow at different rates does not mean you have to break it off. I don't agree with this. I'm not a relationship advisor, or a family advisor, or any friend advisors, but I'm saying that don't look at these small little details and assume everything about their lives and how they're going to act in the future, because people change in good and or bad. So all of this goes for you. So again, red flags, green flags, doesn't really matter, if I'm being honest. All little indicators. Same thing about looks. All looks that we have, all the clothes options that we have, all the makeup that we have, all indicators, not things that we can make a concrete mind about and be like, this is it, this is facts, it doesn't change. No, things change. So this might sound bad, and the reality is that a lot of the times people do things within their own best self-interest. People do things even if just a simple act of going and being nice to someone, because at the end of the day, you being nice to someone is just going to be a payoff of them being nice to you and having respect. And this is not a bad thing. You have to realize this is just human nature. This is just who we are. So realize that things might not go your way. Things might not. This can be applied to anything, not just green flags and red flags. I'm just saying on an overall basis, a human basic skill that you should have is understanding that things might not go your way. And because people treat you like this, yes, it might give you an indication of how you act, because if people have less respect for you, it is mostly their problem. But maybe you haven't asserted the boundaries that had to be asserted. Maybe you're giving them everything they want. So there's there's always a reflection on some type of level. But having it is what it is mindset is really important for this scenario, because we as humans constantly overthink things, and a lot of the times you just have to set things straight with yourself, decide, and try to be more objective, even though as humans we are subjective. But just trying to reach the right decision and trying to make the correct one where our feelings are also involved is something where you just have to sit down with yourself and lay it out and just talk with yourself. And having it is what it is, just saying it is what it is and just moving on is the easiest thing you can do for yourself. Because on the long-term scale of things, these little minor events, they won't really matter. They might affect you, and yeah, then you can argue that they could matter. But if you think it's fine, it happened, it's in the past, I need to move on, this puts you at ease. I used to be really anxious. I used to be always assuming and overthinking about how is this gonna happen, like what does this person think about me. But once you start realizing that the only person that you should matter about their opinion is yourself, you should have respect for yourself and you should grow. And in that way, I'm telling you, once you start building on yourself, people will come. So don't force it and just let things happen, and be constantly within yourself and in touch with yourself and realizing things about yourself and learning things about yourself and doing new things every single day. But anyway, I am gonna go. I hope you guys learned something, and maybe comment down in the comments below.